A relay race you might have played when you were young. What is it? You hand over the rod from one person to another. The same happens with synapse. So what is synapse and the various types of synapse are the topics that we would understand in today's lecture. So when I say the types of synapse, we would classify types based on two categories. One is the chemical composition, the other is the electrical aspect of it. So one is based on how the message is conveyed, whether through chemical means or through electrical means, and the second is where do actually intersection takes place. So it's axon to axon, axon to dendrite, and so on and so forth. So let's understand the very first thing, what is synapse. As I said, it is just like a relay race from one neuron to another. When the message moves, we call this as synapse. Now if we look onto the structure of a neuron, this is the axon and this is the section on dendrite. So towards the end is the dendrite and towards the beginning is the axon. I should not say beginning or the end. So this portion, as you can see, is the axon and the other side is the dendrite. Now when we are talking about types, we would understand how they work, but this structure actually, if we go into the detail of this, we would see that there is a synaptic knob. Now this synaptic knob has synaptic vesicles. So one thing that it has is vesicles. The second is the pre-synaptic membrane, as you can see. Along with that, there are microtubules, endoplasmic reticulum. There also is mitochondria. So all those which are present in the cell could be seen here. Now synaptic knob is important because it is the terminal or the bulbous section, as you can see. So this is a bulb shaped structure and this is what is known as the synaptic knob, or towards the end of it has the axon terminal. Now vesicles are present in the pre-synaptic cytoplasm space, and they usually have the neurotransmitters, which are predominantly GABA, acetylcholine. So those are some of the major neurotransmitters which are present. The next is the presence of presynaptic membrane. Now presynaptic membrane is a membrane which is close to the postsynaptic membrane. The next is the postsynaptic membrane. Postsynaptic membrane is also known as the subsynaptic. So there is two things, subsynaptic and postsynaptic. Now the surface of the membrane which involves the synapse is the subsynaptic, and the postsynaptic is the remaining part of the motor neuron. So the last part we could say where you have the surface of the cell membrane. So cell membrane surface is what is called as subsynaptic, and postsynaptic is what? Postsynaptic is the remaining part of the motor neuron. So we call it as postsynaptic. Now once we have understood what is synapse, let's dive into the types of synapse. Based on physiology, as I mentioned in the beginning, it could be electrical or chemical. So electrical has ions and chemical has the chemical neurotransmitters. Based on proximity, it could be in four forms which we would understand in a while, which is axo-dendritic, that means axon sending the message to the dendrite of the other neuron, axon sending the message to another axon, dendrite to another dendrite, or the axon to the somatic part. So the first thing is the electric synapse versus the chemical synapse. As I said, here in the electric one, pre and post synapse are joined through the gap, and this gap is where the ions flow through the gap channel. As you can see here, the flow of the ions through the gap channel is seen, and this is an example of electrical synapse, and this is usually faster than the chemical synapse. The next is chemical synapse. Now chemical synapse occurs when the chemical substance that is released, and that is mainly in the form of release of neurotransmitters, and the chemical synapse operates only in unidirection, that means only in one direction. Also it is relatively less fast as compared to the electrical synapse, and the neurotransmitters are stored in the presynaptic cleft and released in the postsynaptic neuron. Postsynaptic neuron has the receptors for the neurotransmitters. Clear? Coming on to the next classification. So as I said, axon meeting with the dendrite is the axon-dendritic. Good areas where it is found is the motor neuron in the spinal cord, or the excitatory synapse that occurs in cerebral cortex. Clear? The next is axon-axon. This is present in the spinal cord. The next is dendro-dendritic. Now this is between the mitral and the granule cell of the bulb structure which is present, and the axo-somatic, which is from axon of one to the soma of other, and that is usually seen in the motor neurons of spinal cord and automatic ganglia. So automatic ganglia is where axo-somatic synapse is seen. So 4 classification for the synapse again present here. So this was a brief introduction about synapse and types of synapse. Related questions you can practice on the link below. Wish you good luck.